You ever walk into a room and you feel like somehow everybody knows that you're not supposed to be there? Like any moment, someone's gonna come around the corner, tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, we figured you out. You gotta go. That's a loop that I lived in for years. And the wild part is, I was the one who was building the cage. Welcome to Rebuilt Different. I'm your host, Epiphany Paige, and today I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Not just what it feels like, but where it actually comes from. Let's get into it. When I used to walk into certain rooms, my first thought wasn't, oh my God, this is exciting. My first thought was, oh my God, somebody's gonna find out that I don't belong here. I'd scan the room like I was in survival mode. Who looks intimidating? Who looks threatening? Who looks like they might be able to find me out? Then I would armor up, cross my arms, be in a neutral stance, probably go stand in the corner, neutral face, my whole body screaming, stay away from me. But then of course I would feel hurt when nobody approached me. That's the trap. Imposter syndrome makes you want the connection, but then convinces you to hide. You shrink yourself to feel safe, but then you suffer in silence. Such a vicious cycle. Imposter syndrome doesn't just show up out of nowhere. It's layered. Let's start with perfectionism. That little voice inside your head that says nothing that you do is ever good enough. Like you'll hit the bar, but then the bar will be raised higher once you hit it. For a lot of us, that starts young. Maybe it wasn't somebody being overly harsh, but you had a feeling that love or approval needed to be earned through performance. When you learn to chase gold stars instead of rest, that pattern will follow you into adulthood. Then there's anxiety. I used to go to networking events and then hide in the bathroom for 10 minutes to hype myself up enough to go outside and talk to somebody. But anxiety is like a mind eraser. You can't think straight, you can't retain information, and then that just fuels the thought that, see, you're not sharp enough to be here anyways. And then depression. It whispers, why try? You know that you're not going to be enough anyways. So when you stack anxiety, depression, and perfectionism on top of each other, that makes a perfect storm for imposter syndrome. A voice that convinces you that the problem is you, not the environment, not the system, not the history that helped shape it. And it's not just mental health. It's the environments that we're thrown into. And if you are a woman in a male-dominated field, you already know. Some men, I won't say all, but some men will go out of their way to remind you of the hierarchy, talking over you, dismissing your ideas, but then stealing the same point 5 minutes later. Now, add being a woman of color on top of that, it's like playing a game that was rigged before you even got there. I've had executives tell me to my face that I was too white because I happened to grow up in New Hampshire. Like my blackness could somehow be erased or diminished or debated based on geography. Make it make sense. And then 2 weeks later, I was the only one laid off from that company after reporting it. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. That kind of experience fuels the rage, and then the rage fuels the imposter syndrome. Because when authority treats you like you don't belong, your body stores that as proof. And when you're constantly told that your ideas don't matter, eventually you stop offering them. You convince yourself that it's safer to stay quiet. And that is imposter syndrome's best friend, which is silence. The less you speak, the smaller you feel. And the smaller you feel, the harder it is to speak. It's a loop, a shitty loop at that. Basically, your mind playing tricks on you. You discount your wins. When somebody says great job, you think that they're just being nice. You compare your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel and then assume that they've got it all together. And you catastrophize, if I make one mistake, then they're gonna know that I'm a complete fraud. And when you're already battling depression and anxiety and perfectionism, those distortions definitely hit harder. Because your brain doesn't just see one mistake. It's holding all of this stuff against you. It builds a whole case against you. And that's why imposter syndrome feels just so heavy. It's not just one thought. It's years of false evidence stacking up against your worth. But here's what I've been learning. Imposter syndrome is not about capability. It's about conditioning. It's the environments that taught you that you have to earn your belonging. The parent who made approval conditional, the boss who disrespected you, the system that never expected you to succeed, and the depression that made you doubt your worth. And when I started naming these roots, that's when I was able to start separating me from the lie. If I'm in the room, I belong in the room. Period. End of story, end of sentence. I don't have to shrink to make other people more comfortable. I don't need to armor up to survive. I can uncross my arms, smile, ask a question, even if I feel shaky. Because every time I do, I'm breaking that old cycle, I'm breaking those old habits, and I'm breaking those old thoughts. And here's the twist. The people that we think are untouchable, the celebrities, the executives, those who look down on you, they're often drowning in their own imposter feelings too. But some of them just hide it behind arrogance or cruelty. And that's not my burden to carry. So if you're listening right now, if you're watching right now, so if you've ever felt like you don't deserve the space that you're in, I want you to know that you do. You earned it. You worked for it. You didn't trick anybody. You survived it. You showed up for it. And maybe that voice in your head that says that you don't belong, maybe it's just scared because you're finally stepping into a version of yourself that does. This is Rebuilt Different, where we stop auditioning for spaces that we already belong in. If this episode hit home, please share it with somebody who is tired of feeling small. And as always, please DM me your story. I would love to hear about what you're rebuilding. And as always, remember, you are not broken. You are just being rebuilt different. See you next week.